Arjuna offered wonderful prayers to Krishna in the last chapter, and also Krishna summarized by glorifying the process of bhakti, that how bhakti is the main ingredient, the bhakti is the um, main process to attain Krishna, to see Krishna as he is, in the two-handed form, standing in front of Krishna, the source of all sources. So that can only be possible by the process of devotional service. So now we are moving to the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This chapter is last chapter in the section of Bhakti Yoga. So when Arjuna saw Lord's unlimited opulences, Arjuna also saw different energies of the Supreme Lord. And Arjuna also heard about devotional service, Bhaktayatu Ananna Shakya. So now he wants to clarify his position as a devotee who is working for Krishna, as opposed to Jnani who is renouncing work. So to clarify his position, because see, Arjuna could not appreciate the universal form. Arjuna was fearful. He was bewildered upon seeing the universal form of the Lord. So now Arjuna wants to make sure that his attachment to Krishna's personal form is appropriate or not. So 12th chapter starts with Arjuna's question, that which is greater, which is more perfect, devotional service or worship of the impersonal Brahman? Because he was not attracted to Lord's opulences. He was attracted to Lord's personal form, two-handed form. So he wanted to clarify his own position. So let's start with verse 12.1. Anupama Mataji, can you read translation for 12.1? Chetan Prabhu, you can read. Oh, Anupama Mataji, you are on mute, so we can't hear you. Okay, Chetan Prabhu, you read.
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested?
See, Arjuna is asking which of these is more perfect. See, both are the paths for perfection. We remember there are three main realization stages of realization of the Supreme Lord. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Shabdate. First is realization of the impersonal Brahman. Second is realization of the Paramatma feature, the localized form of the Lord. And third is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when devotee serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the highest perfection. So all three of them are paths for perfection. Now Arjuna already discussed with Krishna about the process of yoga in 6th chapter. And Arjuna admitted that I can't, control my mind. So he is not asking about yogic perfection or Paramatma realization. He is only asking about the other two. Which one is more perfect? Devotional service or worship of the impersonal Brahman? Very straight question. People fight for this, that no, impersonal is highest. Some say no, personal is highest. Very straight question. And Arjuna is asking, and Krishna is answering also very directly. Nishtha Mataji, can you read 12.2?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. The blessed Lord said, He whose mind is fixed on my personal form, always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith, is considered by me to be most perfect.
So Krishna is directly telling the answer. Mai avesh mano ye mam nitya yukto upasate. Those who are worshipping me in this personal form, they are considered to be most perfect. This is Krishna's opinion, Krishna's conclusion about the personalist and impersonalist. So there should not be any fight. There should not be any disagreement, because Krishna himself is telling here that those who are worshipping the personal feature, they are considered to be more perfect. Namra Sita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanaswam. Prabhu, in the first verse, there is line, in the impersonal manifestation, either in this material world or in the spiritual world of the Supreme Lord, is a problem for meditation. Actually, one cannot perfectly conceive of the impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth.
Which paragraph?
The last paragraph of the first verse. The sixth line.
Okay, the impersonal manifestation, either in material world, spiritual or supreme, is a problem for meditation. Yeah, because you see, even on the periphery of a spiritual world, there is Brahma Jyoti, which is spiritual. But the problem with Brahma Jyoti is there is no personal interaction with the devotee. So when devotee even reaches to impersonal Brahma Jyoti, there is no practical service. So idle meditation is very difficult. Whereas devotees, by virtue of their service, they are naturally meditating on the Supreme Lord day and night. Like in Ujjain, we are doing little construction of Govindas, and today they were putting this RCC cement for making the basement. So whole day we were there, but that meditation in our Vyasdev Prabhu also full day he was there. But that meditation is as good as meditating on the deity of the Lord, because practical service. But imagine you are sitting in a room which is full of light, but there is no pictures, there is no sound, there is nobody to interact, there is nothing to do. How long you can stay there? So therefore, it's always a problem. In material world, focusing on impersonal is problem for sure. And in spiritual world also, because there is no practical service, it's problematic to meditate. Therefore, patanti adha, they again come back to the material nature, and again they start some welfare work like opening hospitals or something, because soul's nature is to serve, and if there is no service, idle meditation is very difficult. Okay.
And Prabhu, yes, Prabhu. One more I just wanted to ask, whenever we use this word localized Paramatma, so what does localized mean?
Sorry,
Able to understand this. What does
can you
localized
repeat?
mean?
Localized
Prabhu, when
means
we use the word,
he's present everywhere. He's not sitting somewhere far. Localized means he is present everywhere as a personal Paramatma. My Paramatma, your Paramatma. So he is present everywhere personally. That is an aspect of localized. Varat Krishna Prabhu?
Yeah, I mean, would it be correct to say that since the impersonalist, in their approach, there is no rus, there is no juice of relationship, and that's why it becomes very difficult to really get, to be happy or to be. That's correct?
Yeah, that's what we were discussing, because there is no practical reciprocation. There is no practical service. So how you'll get that mellow? How you'll get that rasa? In Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada writes, rasa means that which inspires you to continue something. But when there is no interaction, there is no service, how a devotee will get any rasa? Therefore, impersonalists, it's very difficult for them to meditate on the impersonal feature of the Lord. Whereas devotees, naturally, by sitting, walking, they're always focusing on the Lord through practical service. It's easier. Like that. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So now this is, yeah. So Krishna is answering that the personal worship is more considered to be more perfect by him. Yeah. Usha Mataji, can you read third and fourth?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engage in the welfare of all, at last achieve me.
So it's not that worshippers of the impersonal feature of Lord, they do not reach Krishna. It's not like that. You remember 7.19? Bahunanam janmana vante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudevam sarvamiti samatmana sudurlabha. In 7th chapter we read that Bahunanam janmana vante. After many, many births, when these kind of jnanis, they come to the conclusion that Vasudevam Sarvamiti. Yes, Lord Vasudev is the source of everything. He is the shelter of everything. Then they surrender to Krishna. So it's not that these impersonalists will never achieve Krishna. They will do that. But the process is difficult. It is not simple path. See, first of all, they have to control all their senses, being equally disposed to everyone, doing welfare of all. These are not simple things, And then at last, they will achieve me. That's what Krishna is saying. So it's very indirect process. Ultimately, they will also get the same goal, Krishna, but after many, many births, when Jnani, they understand that yes, Vasudev is the ultimate shelter, then they take shelter of Lord Vasudev. But it's not that easy. But devotees, it's very easy because they may have so many different, weakness, and they may have so many faults externally. But as they have surrendered to Krishna before, see, Jnani come to that level after many, many births, but devotee is so intelligent, he understands that if at all I have to surrender to Krishna only after many, many births, why don't I do it now? And by doing that, he gets completely purified. So it's not that impersonalist doesn't get Krishna's shelter. We also should understand that. Many times we criticize impersonalists, but that doesn't mean that impersonalists are materialists. No. Impersonalists, if they're not offending Krishna, they are also on the proper spiritual path. But that path is very indirect and difficult. That's what we have to understand. And then this is a very favorite verse of Srila Prabhupada, one of the favorite verses of Srila Prabhupada. You can mark this. It will also be very helpful for your preaching when you want to establish then which one is better, having impersonal feature or personal feature. So Krishna is telling here, Klesho adhik tarastesham avyakta asakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham Dehavad bhir avapyate. Very, very clear. Krishna is saying, Klesha adhik tarastesham. Yes, impersonalists will also at last achieve Krishna, but Klesha means trouble. They will have to face a lot of trouble. Klesha adhik, very much. Tarastesham, to those to whom avyakta asakta chetasam. Avyakta means impersonal, unmanifested. So those who are attached to the impersonal feature of the Lord, they have to face a lot of trouble. Avyaktahi gatir dukkham. And not only the process is troublesome, but the end is also troublesome. Because as we discussed, they have to come back. Because when there is no rasa, there is no service, they fall back. Until the soul is not surrendering to Krishna, it's very difficult for the soul to get that rasa, to get that nectar of Lord's lotus feet. So he will continue to suffer. Klesh adik tarastesham abhyakta asakta chetasam. Yeah. Kripalu Keshwi Mataji, can you read the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. For those whose minds are touched to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied.
Yeah. See, because it is also one more important point in this verse. Deha, we are having deha, means body. We are into bodily consciousness. And for us to all of a sudden meditate on impersonal will be naturally difficult. See, we can connect with what experience we already have. We can go from known to unknown. We can't jump on some foreign experience altogether. So as we are embodied, it is more easy, it's easier for us to meditate on the form of the Lord. But since we have experience of body, we have experience of relationships, we have experience of reciprocation, it is very, very difficult for embodied soul to focus on the impersonal feature of the Lord. So that is also very important. Yes, Varat Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, and Prabhu, like they claim that the Supreme Person cannot have a body, normally the impersonal is, but at the same time, that how that if God has created us in the form we are in human beings, how come Krishna cannot have a form? You know, I mean, though it is not material body, you know, but spiritual body. I mean, this is what Krishna again and again says, you know. He comes in his own nature, with his own nature, you know, from the spiritual world, and he comes descend. So this in itself, how the impersonalists try to counter this?
See, when they talk of Supreme Lord, their explanation is very different. They say, when the Supreme Lord comes in the influence of mode of ignorance, the Supreme Lord becomes animals. When Supreme Lord comes in the influence of passion, Supreme Lord becomes human beings. And when Supreme Lord comes in the influence of goodness, Supreme Lord becomes incarnation. So their understanding of Krishna, Lord Ramchandra, is that oh, the Supreme Lord who is impersonal, he came under the influence of mode of goodness, and that is incarnation. So they also worship Panchopasana. They worship Lord Ganesh, they worship Durga Devi, they worship Lord Shiva, they worship Lord Narayan, they worship Lord Surya. This is Panchopasana, 5 demigods they worship. But their understanding is, yes, they are special. They are not normal like us. But they are in mode of goodness, we are in mode of passion. And they also need to get rid of mode of goodness to become again Supreme Brahman. And we need to get rid of mode of passion to become Supreme Brahman. That is their philosophy. But the Vaishnava Siddhanta is, if the 3 modes can influence the Supreme Lord, then 3 modes should be superior to the Supreme Lord. Then how Supreme Lord is supreme? Then 3 modes are supreme. Because if somebody can overpower the Supreme Lord, some energy can superpower the Supreme Lord, then that thing has to be supreme. But 3 modes work under the direction of Krishna. Krishna says, Devi Hayesha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Durattaya. Gunamayi, the material nature comprises of 3 modes. It works under me. So if they're working under Krishna, how they can overpower Krishna? It doesn't make sense. So therefore, these Krishna is calling them Klesh Adik Taras Tesham. They have to undergo a lot of trouble. You see, let us imagine, from a perspective of an impersonalist. See, first, impersonalist has to come out of his bodily concept, which is a personal aspect. And then he has to focus on impersonal aspect. Okay? So it's difficult because whole your life, you are only having experience of personalism. Your body, your parents, your children, your friends, your relatives, your teachers, everybody. Now imagine impersonalist has to come out of this personalist mentality and focus on impersonalism, focus on impersonal aspect of the Lord. And then ultimately he realizes if he's on the proper path for many births, ultimately he realizes that no, Lord is personal. Then again he has to undo his understanding of impersonalism and coming back to the personal aspect. It's very difficult. You see, first you train a person for something and then you have to undo the training. It's very difficult. So therefore, Krishna is saying, Klesha Adhik Taras Tesha. It's troublesome. See, when something is unnatural, it is troublesome. Like our preachers give this example that suppose you train a fish to climb a tree, fish will never make it. So the nature of soul is to love and serve. And when they are superimposing this artificial concept of impersonalism, as Varat Krishna Prabhu told, it doesn't make sense. Krishna is telling throughout Gita that my nature, my form is not material. And if we are coming from him, we are having form, then how Lord can be formless? How can something be short in Lord, who is the source of everything? So therefore Krishna is telling it's troublesome, because they are superimposing a artificial concept. Yeah, Namrasita Mataji.
Prabhu, the person having Paramatma realization is also impersonalism?
No. Paramatma realization is personal aspect, where Lord is seen in the heart as four-handed Vishnu. And the destination of yogi is Vaikuntha. So he goes back to Vaikuntha. Okay?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, we read this.
So Prabhu, that means over here we are talking about Brahman realization, no? Impersonalism.
Yes. Here the fight is between Brahman realization and Bhagavan realization. Personalism and impersonalism. Okay. Sachidanand Prabhu, can you read this quote?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Similarly, God has an authorized representation in the deity form, which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. God will accept service through that form. The Lord is omnipotent, all-powerful. Therefore, by his incarnation as Archa Vigraha, he can accept the services of the devotee, just to make it convenient for the man in conditioned life.
So this is a also mercy of Lord, that okay, in our materialistic conditioned life, we may not be having experience of the supreme nature of the Lord. Then Lord comes in the form of deity. See, deity is a merciful form of the Lord which we can see, which we can touch, which we can serve. So Lord comes in his personal feature to accept the service. But in unmanifested form, there is no service. And you see, another risk associated with impersonalism is, Prabhupada would say that impersonalists are actually promoting atheism. How they're doing that? Because they have made spiritual life so difficult that people think that forget about it. Let me enjoy in my material life rather. See, meditating on an impersonal aspect, then thinking about nothing, controlling senses, living in a secluded place. All these are very difficult requirements, prerequisites for impersonalists. So when these impersonalists preach their philosophy, they make Krishna consciousness so difficult that people think that no, spirituality is not cup of tea. Let us better enjoy in our material life. So actually, they are promoting atheism. On the other hand, spiritual life is so simple that anybody can practice it. And Prabhupada would say, we can eat our way back to God. Just by eating, chanting, dancing, we can go back to God. So it's so simple. So here, there is little comparison between impersonalism and personalism. So, yes, Amal Arjun Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I've always wondered why this impersonalism is gaining so much of momentum in India. Because when we start talking about Krishna consciousness and the philosophies based on Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, people are not able to appreciate it and digest it, and they feel that we are overdoing it, Prabhuji. So how do we,
not only in India, but all over the world, impersonalism is very popular, and not from today, but from centuries. Because you see, impersonalists are frustrated people. Those who are frustrated with their relationships. Suppose a boy loves a girl, and the girl ditches the boy. What is the natural outcome? The boy thinks, now I'll not fall in love with any girl. That is impersonalist. They are so frustrated with their relationships in material world. So material body is full of misery. So there should not be body. Material relationships are full of misery. So there should not be any relationships. Everybody has so many faults. So Lord should not have any qualities. So this is level of their frustration. And because people are getting more and more frustrated in Kali Yuga, they are becoming more and more impersonalist. So it's a natural, outcome of their frustration.
Okay. Prabhuji, Adi Shankara Acharya is basically Lord Shiva himself, right, Prabhuji? So he came to this material world to, is it to confuse people, or what is the exact reason? Because if you talk about, if you take South India, there are so many followers of Adi Shankara, and this impersonalism is what is being propagated in most of the temples I have gone to, unless it's a Vaishnava temple. All other temples only, they practice impersonalism.
Right. You see, you remember when Shringi, son of Samik Rishi, cursed Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj, till the time of Parikshit Maharaj's kingdom, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, Varnashram system, they were following scriptures very nicely. But when Shringi cursed Parikshit Maharaj, that was the fall of Brahmana community. So Brahmanas became irreligious. Although they were having the garb of Brahmanas, they were reading scriptures, but they were having demonic propensities. And it is written in scripture also that in Kali Yuga, demons will take birth in the Brahmana families. So that's what happened. The Brahmanas who were supposed to guide the society, they became deviated. And when they became materially motivated, they started to misuse scriptures. You see, in scriptures, there are some injunctions, like one can offer an animal in sacrifice as bali, but that is to be done under some rules and regulations. So these Brahmanas forgot about these rules and regulations, but started killing animals in great quantity. So much so that millions of animals were killed every day just on the name of ritualistic sacrifices. So this Lord cannot tolerate. So Lord came as Lord Buddha. And when he came as Lord Buddha, he tried to stop these Brahmanas that no, you can't do this. You can't kill these animals. So these Brahmanas, they were having demonic propensities, and they showed Lord Brahma, look, it's written in the Vedas. We are following Vedas. So then Lord said, I tell you, don't follow the Vedas. Now Lord can do that because he Vedanta Krit Ved Vid Eva Chaham. He created Vedas. So he can tell that I reject Vedas. It's his decision. So Lord Buddha told, okay, no more Vedas. But you stop animal sacrifices. So Lord Buddha influenced the greatest of the ruler of that time, Ashoka and others. I mean, through his followers, of course, not directly. And so much so that this Buddhism spread all over India. All over Akhanda Bharat, wherever there was influence of Sanatana Dharma, it was replaced by Buddhism because the Brahmanas were not following the pure principles and they were misusing scriptures. So Lord Buddha came and stopped scriptures. It's like, suppose you got diarrhea. So doctor may tell you no more milk products. That doesn't mean milk products are bad. But because these milk products are causing more harm to you, doctor may suggest for time period, no more milk products. So Lord Buddha told, no more milk products. That means no more scriptures. But now that problem was solved. The animal sacrifices stopped. The Brahmanas stopped killing animals. Now Lord want to reestablish Vedas. But now imagine, he just told them not to follow Vedas. And if he again comes and tell them you follow Vedas, it will be a problem because nobody is going to hear that. So he has to give them some lucrative offer. He has to make things more simple. So he tells Lord Shiva that you go down as Shankaracharya and you preach this philosophy of impersonalism, which will be very much matching to the philosophy of Buddha, but it will be according to scriptures. So then Lord Shankaracharya came and he established the impersonalism, which is again based on the scriptures, but they are not complete truth. They're just half truth. Yes, Lord is impersonal, but that is Lord's external effulgence. The complete realization of Supreme Lord is he is personal and his energies are impersonal. So Adi Shankaracharya came and he preached this impersonalism. When people again started to follow Vedas, so much so that Adi Shankaracharya driven out Buddhism from India completely. Although Buddhism started in India, but Shankaracharya was such a powerful Acharya that he driven out Buddhism from India completely. And to safeguard India, he established 4 mathas, 4 ashramas in 4 corners of India. Like in North India, he established Joshi Math in near Badrika Ashram. Then in South India, he established Kanchi Math in Kanchipuram. Then in Dwarka, he established Govardhan Math. And in Jagannath Puri, he established another math. So like that, 4 mathas in 4 different directions of India, covering whole India. He safeguarded whole India from Buddhism. So Buddhism was like a, what you will say, a wrong structure. Shankaracharya dismantled that structure and dig foundation. That was Shankaracharya's role. So when you dig foundation, it appears that you are going downwards, but actually that foundation is for making the building. So although it appears that, Shankaracharya preached impersonalism, but actually he did this service to drive out Buddhism. And then Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya came. Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya, they started to preach the Vaishnava philosophy. Like Madhvacharya preached Dvaitavad. No, you are not Lord. You are not Brahman. You are different, Supreme Lord is different. 2. Therefore, if you see Madhvacharya's picture wherever, he is always with this signal. He's showing these 2 fingers. No. You are different, Lord is different. You are not Brahman. You are Brahman, Lord is Parabrahman. You are not the Supreme Lord. And Ramanujacharya established that yes, we are one with Lord, but in quality. Vishishta Advaitavad. We are part and parcel of Lord. We are not Lord, we are part and parcel of Lord. So like a gold mine and a gold particle, they have same qualities. So like that, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then established the pure devotional teachings to Radha and Krishna. So they all are coming in different, phases to establish the pure bhakti. But as we construct a building, there are many phases. Like you have to dismantle the old structure, then you have to dig the foundation, then somebody has to do the pillars, then somebody will do the brickwork, and then the final interior designer will do the thing. And then finally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established the deity of Radha and Krishna. So all these acharyas did their work in a perfect flow. Okay? So that was
Thank
the
you,
reason.
Very beautifully explained, Prabhuji. Very beautifully explained. Thank you.
Yes, Bharat Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah. How long did it take Shankaracharya to drive Buddhism out of India?
Just 10 years. Just like Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada in 10 years, he preached Krishna consciousness all over the world. Shankaracharya also, just in the matter of 10 years, he driven out whole Buddhism out of India.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So like that, this impersonalism is a concept of Vedas. It's not fake, it's not pseudo philosophy, but this impersonalism is incomplete realization of the Supreme Lord. Venudhari Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji, it's a little question. Who brought the Achintya Bhed? Is it Madhvacharya or
It's
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Mahaprabhu?
Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. See,
Thank you,
Madhvacharya taught that we and Lord are different. Bheda. That is called Bheda. And Ramanujacharya said, Vishishta Advaitavad means we and Lord are one, but in quality. Like Lord is Satchidanand, we are also Satchidanand. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu combined these 2 concepts. Achintya, Bhed, Abhed. We are both one and different. We are one in quality and different in quantity. Like an ocean and a drop of ocean. Same. It will be salty, the ocean will be salty. But then the drop is little and ocean is vast. That is different. So that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this special philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva. Yeah, Bharat Krishna Prabhu. You are on mute. Please unmute, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay, I'm fine. No, I don't have any questions. Sorry. It was from the last
your
time.
hand. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about.
It's okay. We always look forward to hearing from you. Hare Krishna. So therefore, this impersonalism is, you will find this in many scriptures, and a lot of followers of Vedic scriptures, they get carried away by this incomplete philosophy. But Krishna here directly telling it that it's full of klesha. Klesha means trouble. And you remember in 9th chapter, Krishna calls bhakti as susukham kartum avvayam. And bhakti has to be practiced happily. It is blissful process. So we can see the comparison of the Supreme Lord. Then Prabhupada is giving all these points in this purport. And the impersonalism is more theoretical, but personalism is more practical. You can do practical service. You can have practical experience of the Supreme Lord. Then, as we saw in the previous verses, impersonalism is indirect approach to the Supreme Lord. But bhakti or personalism is direct approach. Impersonalism is unnatural because we are embodied, we are having experience of personal dealings. It's unnatural for soul. But personalism is very natural for soul. Impersonal is non-perpetual. There may be some, because once one goes even to Brahmajyoti, then he falls back because there is no rasa. But personalism is perpetual. Wherever the devotee goes, he continues service. It's very risky. Impersonalism is very risky because there's prerequisites of sense control and others. But personalism is guaranteed. Krishna says, Neha bikranashosti pratyavayan vidyate. Swalpam apiyasya dharmasya trayato mahato vayat. Little endeavor on this path is one is saved from greatest danger. So Krishna tells about the bhakti. For being an impersonalist, we have to be very qualified. But for being a devotee, one can come from any stage of his life. Still, impersonalism is incomplete realization of the Supreme Lord. Personalism is complete realization of the Supreme Lord. So like that, there is comparison of personalism and impersonalism by Srila Prabhupada in this purport, very nice purport. You can refer it. Now, let us go further, that how Krishna takes care of his personal devotees, means the worshippers of the personal feature. Okay, Shrutidhar Prabhu, can you read 6 and 7 translation?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engage in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death.
Ye tu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matpara ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate. Krishna is saying, but those, two means but. So he already ended the chapter of impersonalism. And he is telling that, but those who are surrendering unto me, those who are devoting all their activities to me, those who are meditating upon me, then what I do? Tesham aham samudharta. I deliver them. Aham means Krishna himself delivers his devotees. Devotees don't need to endeavor themselves. No. A child is completely dependent on the parents. The parents, they take care of the child. They feed child. You know, have you seen any children going to parents and telling that, my dear father, I'm very grateful to you that you have taken care of me this month, but are you going to take care of me next month also? Does that happen like that? Venudhari Prabhu? Chaitanya tells you like this?
No, Prabhu, of course.
No. Because he knows that my mother and father will take care of me in all respects. So here Krishna is also telling the same thing. Aham samudharta. My devotees need not to worry. I am their deliverer. From where? Mrityu sansara sagara. From this ocean of birth and death. I will deliver them. So that is Krishna's, special love for his devotees in the personal feature. Those who are serving him, those who are worshipping him in the personal feature. Yeah. Pratima Mataji, can you read this?
Hare Krishna Guruji. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful action of his past life, because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the Supreme omnipotent Godhead Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life.
Yeah. So that way, a devotee is fully convinced that he need not to take shelter of any process other than devotional service. So in the first 7 verses, we saw the importance of devotional service over impersonalism. Arjuna's question was, which one is better, Krishna, bhakti or impersonalism? So Krishna clarified that by telling the glories of devotional service and by telling the problems associated with impersonalism. Now, in next few verses, Krishna is going to tell the progressive stages of devotion. Even in devotional service, there are some stages. There are some different categories of devotional service. So Krishna will tell them progressively that if you cannot do this, you can do that. If you cannot do that, you can do this. But do my devotional service. And then Krishna will tell what makes his devotees very dear to Krishna. The qualities which endear a devotee to Krishna. So we'll see that also in the next few verses. Let us read verse number 8. Arun Charan Prabhu, can you read text 8?
Yes, Prabhuji. Text 8, translation. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. Live in me.
Yes. So Krishna is saying, Mayeva mana adhastva. That means fixing their mind on me. Mai buddhim niveshaya. Nivesh means investing. So they are investing their intelligence in me. And Mai eva atha urdhvamna. Thus they will get my shelter. Na sanshaya. There is no doubt about it. Living in me means they are always conscious of Krishna. Living in me doesn't mean that we are going to enter Krishna. But living with me here means the devotee becomes always conscious of Krishna. That means he is becoming Krishnaized. Prabhupada gave this term, Krishnaized. Like one is ionized, in chemistry they have ionized. In the same way, devotee gets Krishnaized. Who will read? Kripalu, Rasamrit Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, the Pranam Desha Prabhupada. Krishna is the holy name of the Lord, and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnaized by eating the ornaments.
So in this verse, 3 times the word Mai has been used. Mayeva mana adhasva, Mai buddhim niveshaya, niveshasi Mayeva. Mai means me. So a devotee, whatever he does it for Krishna. If he is eating, he will offer it to Krishna and then eat. If he is doing any activity, he'll do it for Krishna. So like that, a devotee is so conscious of Krishna that he becomes completely immune to the material contamination. And that's how he always lives in Krishna consciousness. Of course, it's very difficult and it's not very easy for everyone to do that. And Krishna also understands that. So what Krishna does, Krishna gives some progressive stages. You see, in Nirjala Ekadashi also, on Ekadashi also, there are some progressive stages. You see, best Ekadashi is which is done Nirjala, without eating, without drinking, without sleeping. That is best Ekadashi. But we can't do that. So, okay, then it is told that, okay, you can drink water. So that is second step. Then somebody says, no, if I don't take salt and things, I mean, my sugar level will go down. Okay, you can drink water and you can take fruits. Then somebody say, no, I can't handle this also. Then, okay, you can take water, fruits and milk. Then somebody say, no, I can't handle this also. Then say, okay, don't take grains. Then we take quinoa and this and that. Then somebody say, no, I can't manage this also. Then people make Ekadashi pizza, Ekadashi pasta and whatnot. So it's like different stages. Okay, you can't do this, then you do that. Okay, you can't do this, then you do that. Similarly, here, Krishna, first in 8th verse, which we just studied, Krishna is talking about spontaneous attachment to Krishna. Fixing mind on Krishna, Krishnaized, perfect Krishna consciousness. That while sleeping, eating, whatever, devotee is fully Krishna conscious. So we can call it spontaneous devotional service. But if somebody cannot do that, then there is second step, which is described in the 9th verse. So let's read that second step proposed by Krishna. Braj Sevaki Mataji, can you read?
Yes, Prabhu. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me.
So now what Krishna is proposing, okay, you can't have that spontaneous fixing your mind and intelligence on me. Then second level is practice the regulative principles of bhakti. That means sadhana bhakti. Now the second step, okay, you can't be spontaneous devotee, practice sadhana bhakti. Sadhana means abhyas yoga. Means I don't have spontaneous attraction for Krishna, but still I make endeavor. I follow the instructions of the spiritual master. I chant, I follow 482 principles, I rise early in the morning, I go to temple, I serve devotees, like that. So when we do that, then slowly, mam ichhaptum, slowly we develop desire to attain Krishna by sadhana bhakti. So this sadhana bhakti means Navada bhakti, 9 limbs of devotional service, starting from Shravan and Kirtan, hearing and chanting. So that is the second step. If somebody cannot do that, then Krishna is giving third step. Text 10. Who will read? Yes, Keshav Priya Mataji, can you read?
Hare Krishna. It's verse text 10. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage.
So now Krishna is giving further step. That okay, if you cannot practice Navada Bhakti, if you cannot practice the 9 limbs of devotional service, then you practice Varnashram Dharma. What is Varnashram Dharma? When person realizes what is his inclinations, what is his skills, and he works for Krishna. So whatever he does for Krishna. So that is Varnashram Dharma. Perfectly following the Vedic rules, Vedic injunctions, following Varnashram Dharma, and following the course of devotional service. So the first is spontaneous, second is sadhana bhakti. If you cannot do that, then you follow Varnashram system, at least to become Varnashram follower. Now if somebody cannot do that also, the Krishna is giving 11th verse. Look at Krishna's magnanimity. There are so many religions, they tell, oh, if you don't follow our God, you have to burn in hell. But look at Krishna as open-hearted. He's telling, okay, you cannot do this, do that. If you cannot do this, you do that. So he's so open. He wants his living entities to come back to him. Verse 11. Diya Mataji, can you read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated.
So now he's saying about one step lower. What is that? Karma Yoga. Now, if you cannot do that also, then you do Karma Yoga. You have jaundice, like Rupa Goswami gives this jaundice. Like in jaundice, the sugar tastes bitter. So when you have jaundice, you need sugar, but the sugar is tasting bitter. So what to do? You eat it with some coating. They take sugarcane juice or something. So like that, Krishna is telling, okay, you do Karma Yoga. What will be the Karma Yoga? Whatever you like, you do, but you offer results to Krishna. See, in 10th verse, one was working for Krishna. But in 11th verse, there's little difference. He is working and offering results to Krishna. It's different, little different. Like there may be some donors, they may be earning so many, so much money, and they may come to temple and give some donation. They may not chant, they may not do devotional service directly. They may do some punya, some charity, some community service. So they may not offer directly their work to Krishna, but they may offer some results of their work to Krishna. So it's one step lower than working for Krishna. If somebody cannot do that also, then Krishna is giving the last step, 12th verse. Then one can do that. Okay, the 12th verse. Moksharupi Prabhu, can you read?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandava Pranams. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation. And better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind.
So then Krishna is telling, okay, if you cannot do that also, then for you indirect method is okay. Then you do meditation. Then you follow Jnana Yoga. Then you go through that Klesh Adhiktaras Tesham Abhyakta Asakta Chetasam, which we just discussed, that how impersonal feature is difficult. So okay, if you cannot do this also, if you cannot offer the results of your karma also to me, you're so miser, then you go through this process of knowledge. You seriously need training. So therefore you go through this process of understanding me in reality. So that's how Krishna tells Arjuna, okay, first spontaneous devotional service. If you can't do that, practice regulative principles of bhakti. If you can't do that, work for me. If you cannot work for me, at least offer results of your work to me. If you cannot offer results of your work to me also, then you need proper training and knowledge. You should first learn everything, that you are not body, you are soul. Because you are so bodily conscious that you are not able to leave even results of your work. So that's what brings the next stage, the 12th verse, where Krishna is telling Arjuna that, okay, if you cannot give my results also, then you cultivate knowledge. And how you cultivate knowledge? By understanding that you are not body, you are soul. You have to do that. If you cannot do that, then how you'll progress in spiritual life. So like that, Krishna is inspiring Arjun one by one, and he's giving all these methods not just for Arjun, but for all of us, that from any platform person can go closer to Krishna. Amar Nitai Prabhu, can you read?
Hare Krishna.
Progressive stages of devotion 12.8 to 12. In summary, to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal, there are two processes. One process is by gradual development and the other process is direct. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the direct method, and the other method involves renouncing the fruits of one's activity. Then one can come to the stage of knowledge, and then through the stage of meditation, then to the stage of understanding the super soul, and then to the stage of the supreme personality of Godhead.
So if somebody is not at all ready to give results to Krishna also, then they have to go through this process. That okay, first you realize you're not body, you're soul, get some knowledge, meditate, then you come to the level of understanding super soul, then you come to the level of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's an indirect method, but then what to do if somebody cannot learn like that? They have to go through this indirect method also. So now we are going into the last phase of this chapter. These 8 verses, starting from the 13th verse, they are called Bhakta Ashtakam. Bhakta Ashtakam. You must have heard about Guru Ashtakam, the 8 prayers to the spiritual master, Sansara Dava Naralida Loka. You must have heard Madhurashtakam, the 8 verses glorifying the sweetness of Krishna. You must have heard Chorashtakam, the 8 verses telling how Krishna is the supreme thief. Then Yugal Ashtakam. There are so many Ashtakams. Radhika Ashtakam. There is Krishna Ashtakam, which is also called as Vrajraj Sutta Ashtakam. So there are so many Ashtakams. But this is the only Ashtakam where Krishna is glorifying his devotees. Bhakta Ashtakam. In 8, Vyasdev Prabhu is writing Damodar Ashtakam. So many Ashtakams. Shad Goswami Ashtakam. Yes. But here, Krishna himself is glorifying his devotees. And in this Bhagavad Gita, these 8 verses are called Bhakta Ashtakam. Krishna is telling what qualities endear these devotees to him very much. What makes his devotees so dear to Krishna? So these are some qualities starting from verse 13. So Sudevi Mataji, can you read translation for 13, 14? We can't hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry for one who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me.
So Krishna is giving a few qualities in these 2 verses. He's first of all telling about Shami. Shami means forgiving. And Prabhupada is translating it as tolerant, which is also appropriate because if you are not tolerant, you can't forgive anybody. Like Haridas Thakur was beaten in 22 marketplaces. He was tolerant. He tolerated this beating by these, butchers. But then he was praying for them. He was praying to the Lord that they don't know what they are doing. Please forgive them. So Haridas Thakur was forgiving and he was tolerant. Then Advaishta, non-envious. A devotee of Lord is not envious of anyone. Because you become envious of somebody when you think that he is the doer. He is creating troubles in your life. But devotee is knowing this fact that whatever coming in his life is by Krishna's mercy. So why he should give any blame to anyone? He thinks that everything is Krishna's mercy. Tatte nukampa sushabhikshamana. Everything Krishna is your anukampa, is your mercy. I deserve so much more misery, but you have made it very, very small. So I'm very grateful to you, Krishna. So if a devotee has this kind of attitude, he will think nobody is my enemy. And therefore, nirmama. Nirmama means he is free from all proprietorship. Actually, before that, Maitri, he is friendly because he has no envy. He is not envying anyone. So he is friendly with everyone. He is thinking everyone is his well-wisher. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. In last chapter also, we discussed this, that a devotee is not having any enemy. Nirvairina. So in the same way here also, the same concept. Then nirmama, nirahankara. He is having no feeling of nirmama. Mama means mine. He is not having feeling of me and mine. So he is free from the false ego. He is satisfied. Sama, he is equal to distress and happiness. Because if you're too much puffed up in happiness, you will be too much distressful in sorrow also, in difficulties also. And therefore a devotee is always satisfied. When Prabhupada was asked in his last days, what is your desire, Prabhupada? People ask your last desire, last wish. Now imagine the whole moment is going on and you are the world Acharya. Prabhupada could have told so many things. Prabhupada said, Kichu ichha nai. I don't want anything. Everything. I don't want anything. Whatever Krishna wanted to do through me, I have done. So that is devotee. He is always satisfied. He is self-controlled. He is determined. And his mind and intelligence are always fixed in Krishna, as we discussed in the previous verse. So like that, these are some qualities Krishna described in these two verses, which endear a devotee to Krishna. Saurabh Prabhu, can you read next verse? Verse 15.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equiposed in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me.
Yeah. So Krishna is telling now another set of qualities. At least we should read these qualities. By reading these qualities, someday Krishna will bless us with these qualities also. That a devotee is never affecting any distress to others. That is a devotee. Vaishnava, actually he becomes sorrowful, he becomes sad, he becomes miserable by seeing others into misery. So he himself is equipoised in happiness and distress and fear and anxiety, but he doesn't put others also in anxiety. That is a devotee. So that is a devotee. He is not disturbed by anyone. People will try to disturb. Like I remember one time, Radhanath Swami Maharaj was asked by one devotee, Maharaj, can I disturb you for 5 minutes? It's just an expression that, can I speak to you for 5 minutes? So she said that, Maharaj, can I disturb you for 5 minutes? Maharaj said, no, you can't disturb me. You can speak to me, but you can't disturb me. So that is a devotee, He can't be disturbed by anyone because he's not attached to happiness or distress or, the gain or loss. He's completely dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. Next, who didn't read? Devadev Prabhu, can you read next verse? 16.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Yes.
My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, it is very dear to me.
Yeah. So Krishna is telling that what he does after doing that, he is not dependent on any external things, but internally he is very dear to me. That's what gives him nourishment. Externally, he is not expecting anything from anyone. But a devotee is anapeksha. Anapeksha means neutral. Apeksha means expectation from others. But he is anapeksha. He is not expecting anything from others. You offer some opulence to devotee, he will accept it. But if you don't offer, he will not struggle for it. That is a devotee. And second, he is suchi, he is pure. Internally, he is pure by chanting of the holy name. Externally, he is pure by maintaining the mode of goodness, like rising in the morning, bathing at least twice a day, etc. And he is expert. Whatever he does, whatever services he does for the Supreme Lord, he is expert. But he is udasin. He is not attached. He is not attached to some situation, some people, certain inclinations. No, he is not attached. He is only attached to Krishna. And he is gata vyatha. Because he is not attached, he is not affected by any bodily designations. And such a devotee, although he will do so many big things for Krishna, but he is not at all attached to these endeavors. He doesn't endeavor for himself. He may do big things like constructing big temple projects, this and that, but he is not attached to all these activities. So this is also Krishna's, some of the qualities which Krishna identifies in his devotees. Yeah. Who didn't read? Amal Arjun Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Here, what does it mean, Prabhuji? Not dependent on the ordinary course of activities. Is that material activities or?
Yeah. He's not dependent on these. See, like suppose today we are asked as devotees to be temple president. Tomorrow we may be asked that you need not to be president, just go out and distribute books. So he's not depending on the activity, but he is depending on the service of the Supreme Lord. So he's attached to the service part, not the details of the service. Like that. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Namrasita Mataji.
Prabhu, what does without cares in the same word mean?
Without?
Cares. C-A-R-E. Cares. Who is pure, expert, without cares.
Oh, okay. Without cares, udasin means he is not attached. He's not attached to certain situations. Like we say psychophysical nature and inclination and this and that. We are more inclined to Bengali Vaishnavas. No, we are more inclined to Mauritian Vaishnavas. No, we like North Indians more. So he is not attached to all these groups. He's udasin. He's not attached to certain situations, likings, or inclinations. Right? Okay? Yeah. Next, Anupama Mataji, can you read next verse?
Hare Krishna. Text 17. One who neither rejoices nor bewails, who neither laments nor desire, and who re-announces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me.
Yeah. So next quality Krishna is saying. He doesn't rejoices when he gets some respect or when he gets some opulence. It's not that he becomes very happy and he starts to enjoy it. No. Neither he becomes very morose when he loses something in material world. Because after all, he knows that gains and loss in material world are like dream. So he never laments nor desires. But he's transcendental. He's above these aspects of auspiciousness and inauspiciousness. So such a devotee is very dear to me. Like, see, Arjun, externally he was doing an inauspicious thing. Like that day Saurabh Prabhu was telling that he is killing, he is having animosity. So externally it's looking inauspicious. But no, Arjun was not attached. He is transcendental to auspicious and inauspicious. So that is a devotee, and these qualities endear, devotee to Krishna. Pratima Mataji, can you read next verse?
Something. One who neither rejoices nor grieves.
No, 18.
Who
18.
neither,
18,
one
19.
who is equal to, yes, Prabhuji. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equiposed in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me.
So if we summarize, like, he is not affected by dualities of material nature. What are dualities? Friends and enemies. Like Prahlad Maharaj said, I don't understand who is friend and who is enemy. Prahlad Maharaj is telling to his teachers, I never understand who is friend, who is enemy. Everyone is well-wisher. That is a devotee. What is heat, what is cold? I don't understand. That is devotee. So he is not affected by contaminating association, but he doesn't hate them also. That is a devotee. He is always self-satisfied in the devotional service. Another quality of devotee is given here is silence. It doesn't mean that devotee doesn't speak, but silence means devotee only speak Krishna consciousness or things which are related to Krishna's service. He is fixed in his devotional service and is engaged in devotional service. So far Krishna covered 26 qualities of a devotee, and then he summarizes his Bhakti Ashtakam by telling this last verse. Sarashti Mataji, can you read this?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
So now Krishna is telling that, okay, one can have the above qualities, other Gyanis may also have, like being equipoised and this and that. But now summarizing the last thing Krishna is saying, Yetu dharma mritam idam yathoktam paryupasate sraddhadhana mat parama bhaktaste tiva me priya. Krishna is saying that those who are engaged in my devotional service completely, dedicating themselves with faith and making me their mat parama, making me as supreme goal. They are not thinking about impersonal Brahmajyoti. They are not thinking about yogic perfection, siddhis. No. My devotee who thinks that I am their supreme goal, they are very, very, ativa means, ati means more. He said ati. Ati means more. Ativa means very, very dear to them. So that is Krishna's conclusion, that he's telling that yes, all these qualities, they are good, but these qualities may be there in others also. But one who has all these qualities plus who has dedicated himself in Krishna's service, he is very, very dear to Krishna. Yeah. Chetan Prabhu, can you read this quote?
Yes, Prabhuji. One who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop the good qualifications. Of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire these qualifications, but engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps him develop them.
Yeah. So it's not that now after reading all these qualities, we start to cultivate them. Okay, 1 covered, 2 covered, 3 covered. No. The last verse is most important. If we become engaged in Krishna's service, all these qualities will automatically come. Yashasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana one who engage in Krishna's service, then what happens? All qualities of demigods are automatically manifested in these devotees. So the devotees need not to separately practice, separately endeavor for all these qualities. But Krishna is telling, my devotees possess these qualities. And these qualities, devotees are more, they become more dear to me. So as a devotee, our thing is, let's not be carried away by proposals of impersonalism. Let us be more and more dedicated to our service to Guru and Krishna. And when we do that, then automatically Krishna bless his devotee with all these qualities. Namra Sita Mataji.
Prabhu, in the second last 18-19 verse, the translation, who doesn't care for any residence, means even if he is homeless, does that mean?
See, it's like Krishna wants us to live in a palace. Devotee is not attached to the forest. Krishna wants us to live in a forest. Devotee is not attached to the palace. Prabhupada lived in his quarters in Los Angeles. Prabhupada lived in his quarters in Juhu. And when he saw first time his quarters in Juhu, what did he say? I remember my rooms in Radha Damodar. And if you think about the rooms in Radha Damodar, they're so basic, they're so austere. But for Prabhupada, it doesn't matter. He's not attached to the place of residence. Wherever Krishna will keep him, he'll live happily. Okay. Like when Pandavas were sent on exile, Yudhishthir Maharaj was morose. And Krishna asked him, why are you morose? You're going in forest, therefore you're morose? He said, no, I'm not morose because I have to go to the forest. But I am morose because when I was living in palace, I would feed these thousands of brahmanas and devotees every day. How I'll feed them in forest? Then Krishna arranged for the Akshay Patra. So see, Yudhishthira Maharaj was not attached to living in forest, but he was more concerned about serving Vaishnavas in the forest. So that is the meaning of not being attached to the residence. Yeah. Amar Nitai Prabhu.
Sri Krishna Prabhu, Damrat Pranam. I have a question, Prabhu. The first property was the tolerant, that we have to be tolerant. But sometimes when we are in authority and when we see that something wrong is happening in our group, and then is it good to tolerate, or which is changing, which can deviate the mood of the whole group also? Just tolerate.
We have to understand these qualities are for personal offenses. You see, when somebody is hampering Krishna's community, then it's duty of leader to fix that problem. You know, Guru Maharaj used to say, we are Prabhupada's dogs. When somebody will try to hamper the master on his property, the dog will bark. So a leader has to do that job. But, you know, it's told that, you know, for personal offense, he will be tolerant. Haridas Thakur was tolerant. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry. He said, I will kill all the Yavanas from earth. Haridas Thakur is praying, no, my Lord. Your incarnation is not to kill. Your incarnation is to transform. So see, Haridas Thakur is tolerating, but Lord Chaitanya is not tolerating. So we have to understand, for Lord's service, like, you know, just like now Namrasita. Hare Krishna, sorry. Like just now Namrasita Mata was telling about the residence. Yeah, for personal use, devotee may live anywhere. But then why Prabhupada made such big temples? To attract people. So for service, devotee is ready to do anything. But for personally, all these qualities he'll follow. That is it. Okay.
Thank you.
Leader has to do this thankless job. What to do? He has to correct people. He has to chastise. Sometimes he has to take the blames. It's a thankless job. You know, one time, one devotee, he took a vow of silence. He said, no matter whatever happens, I'll not speak. So he was sitting, and many devotees tried to break his vow. They were telling different things. They were doing different, things. But this devotee was so determined that no, I will practice the vow of silence. Then one devotee came and he spoke something in his ears. And as this devotee spoke something in his ears, this devotee was observing the vow of silence. He started to shout, "No, no, no, I will not accept. I'll break my vow." All the other devotees were surprised. What this person spoke in his ear? You know what he spoke? He told, "If you'll not break your vow of silence, we'll make you temple president." It's such a thankless job in ISKCON to manage devotees. You have to take so many blames, so many offenses, what to do. But for Krishna's service, we have to do that. Okay? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. So see you next week with new unit, 13th chapter. I request you to revise this unit nicely. If there are some doubts, you can ask in next class. And also, you can start working on the CBA questions, closed book exam questions. They are in the booklet and in your student handbook. I think they're half the number of questions from Unit 1. Good news. Unit 1 was longest CBA, but this unit doesn't have that many questions. So it's easier. So please start finding out the questions and remembering them. It will be easier for the exam. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare